And these representatives have not said anything.
Yeah, Vice President Margie.
Yes,
So-
I reached out to all three, and given that these representatives don't want to be a part of don't want to be a part of this,
Mhm.
it's not like we're just recalling them because we don't
Okay.
want them
So
there.
they
Point of
haven't made
order.
any statement about what they
One
are
second.
standing for. They just no response.
I have a point of
or was
order.
the response that they
Tyler?
don't want to be
No, I got
in
you,
the
Tyler.
government?
Yes, I apologize, Brooke. I have a point of order. Wouldn't that constitute a resignation then? Wouldn't you consider that a resignation if they said they didn't want to be here? Then we don't have to do the recall, and it's not our decision violating democracy. Would that not be correct, Mr. President, if they said they didn't want to be here?
Well, in a way, but like they never indicated to Vice President Margie that they effectively have resigned, or so that they never sent back an email saying like, I would like to resign from my position. So like they've indicated to us at least at the bare minimum that they either don't want to be involved much anymore. So this is just our formal process of actually doing it. So, I wouldn't foresee that even if they are recalled tonight that this is just a mechanism that we need to do to be able to move forward. But Representative or Vice President.
I have a
can
point of
clarify
information.
Some more.
Mm-hmm.
I can clarify some more about exactly what exactly went about. For Representative Max and Representative Alejandro, I reached out twice and I did not receive any response at all. And I reached out like within the span of like more than a week between each email, right? So like it was a while. It's not like I was just like sending 2 emails 2 days in a row. For Miss Grace, I reached out. She responded and saying there might have been some misunderstanding because she doesn't believe she's ever applied to this. Maybe her name was added by mistake or there was some administrative mix-up. And I clarified and I was like, no, like there might have been some confusion because during the board elections in March, your name was written in by students during the write-in portion of the ballot. And so in that case, that's why you are considered a representative, right? If you don't want, like, I understand, like, if you weren't aware of that or didn't intend to serve, and I completely understand, I just want to clarify how your name ended up on the board and that it wasn't just some mistake. And so I clarified and I told her, like, let me know if you're interested. If not, like, because you are someone who's not aware that you even got in or that you thought this was some misunderstanding. And so I followed back 2 times without a response of like, hey, are you interested in continuing as a board member? Like, what is the end result of this interaction? And I haven't gotten a response back yet. So that's exactly what played out.
Treasurer Becker.
Yes, the one thing I was wondering about, like if we keep them, if we don't recall them, then would that sacrifice meeting quorum for meetings to actually have RSG, have our meetings ensue? Would that sacrifice that?
Point of order. I think Mr. Becker's making a point of information to the president. I just wanted it to be clear.
Vice President Margie.
Treasurer Becker, can you repeat your question, please?
Yeah, no, I'm just wondering if we don't recall them, so if they're still on RSG, then does that like increase or does that, I'm not exactly sure how quorum is decided, like that number, but I'm just wondering if it would be harder for us to meet quorum if they're not showing up. Like, does that increase the required number? Because it's said that we have more people even though they're not showing up.
Sure, I mean, quorum is just half plus one of all the members that we do have. So here we have 3 members who never will show up. And so that doesn't, like, so far we've been, meeting quorum, but I'm just saying, like, that's just 3 seats of people that either aren't aware or have just, ghosted. But I wouldn't say they stop us from meeting quorum, but they are 3 seats that haven't shown up at all.
Yeah. So in its current form, those 3 seats are adding towards our current quorum. if and or they're removed, then our quorum will be reduced. So actually, it will be easier actually to meet quorum with the change. Representative Neely?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I believe that Representative Fiorito does have a point here. If at least one of the members up for recall has expressed that they do not even want to be here, then I believe that the most appropriate course of action is to request the resignation of at least that member, if not all three, because a recall, even if necessary, can be seen can be seen as punitive. So even if it's too late to do that right now, I just feel we should keep this in mind for the future, that if a member is up, for recall and they say that they do not even want the office, it's probably better for everyone to invite them to resign rather than putting them up for a recall vote.
Okay, Tondi?
Um, I just think that while the logistics of this makes sense theoretically, um, on the opposing end, like if I'm a student who didn't sign up for anything, there's no onus on me to even respond to an email, especially if I am a graduate student. It's not a priority to me to necessarily respond to something that I did not myself sign up for. So I think us like sending these emails for like resignation or recall or kind of like um trying to figure out the best word to use, because essentially this is like kind of what we're focusing on. Is it better to use the word recall or resignation? The end result, the outcome is that these people are not going to be in the meetings, they are not going to contribute to these meetings, and they have no intention or desire to do so. And so I think, while I understand the sake of like maybe kicking somebody out who wants to be a part of RSG, who has been contributing but maybe has differing opinions, that's a separate issue, I think, compared to someone that is like just not responding, is a no show, no call. Like, I think if we were to look at this like in the terms of like working, right? Like if you had like a regular corporate job and you no show, no called, eventually you would no longer work there. And they're not going to be like, oh, can you resign from your job? You just don't work there anymore.
I understand. So the way to move forward, I would say there's a couple of things. Either we can make a motion to recall this member, or we can make a motion to delay. If there is an objection after when we go through the process, I'll just ask for a formal vote for yes for recall, no, or abstain. So is there a motion to recall Max?
Can I just have a quick point of information before we do this? I asked a question to the vice president. I was curious, were all three write-ins or were some of these people declared candidates?
I haven't answered your question because I'm looking at
Oh,
the.
my apologies.
Right now, I was gonna respond to you. I wasn't ignoring
Oh
you.
yeah, no worries, no worries.
Just to clarify, Max, Max and Grace are both Division II representatives, and Alejandro is a Dearborn ex officio. And if you just give me 3 seconds, I will open the results.
Point of order to the chair. An ex officio doesn't have a voting right, isn't that correct?
Correct.
So if they're removed, we aren't violating democracy because they were never elected.
Well, in this case, for the Alejandro, is that the Dearborn representative? Okay, so in this case, the Dearborn campus, was Alejandro written in, or did someone? Because for the Dearborn system, they might have actually have voted for.
Give me 1 second.
Uh-huh.
Can I ask two quick questions?
Sure.
First, so when you say like they were written in, like usually you do send them like, hey, you were written in, do you accept? And these guys, did they say like yes that we accept? Because I'm guessing they would have said yes for them to have made this far, right? Like, as initially, like I'm sure every write-in gets an email from like the VP, right? That or like what was that like? And second, like, do we have like a minimum attendance thingy? Like, is there like a protocol around that? Like, this is when you meet this criteria, you're up for recall. Just do these two questions.
Yeah, so essentially it's really hard. So even if your name has been written in, so usually what happens is the vice president will reach out to everyone and then we'll confirm and say, do you wish to take this seat? And then usually or the elections director is kind of like, please accept. And then usually representatives are like, yes. The part that kind of gets people is the second part is if someone doesn't indicate no, and they kind of are just silent. At the end of the day, they were still elected, so you can't remove them because whether they're silent or not, they're still an elected. They're still an elected member. So that's the part that kind of gets people is if they've been silent and just have kind of been like haven't said anything. The second part is when Vice President Margie, right? When you reach about 3, that's when you get on the list towards recall.
Yes, can I opened up the spreadsheet from our elections director for the winter 2026 the election.
Mhm.
So that's why it took me a minute because I was trying to, because I don't have access to it. I had to look through, I had to make, the elections director sent this to us earlier. That's why it took me a minute. But for Max was a write-in. He did not accept or decline the seat. Grace was also a write-in and she did not accept or decline the seat. Our Dearborn ex officio was also a write-in and he did not accept or decline the seat either. So they were, all 3 of them were write-ins and all 3 of them did not accept or decline the seat.
Point of order then? This would be my point of order if the chair would recognize it. I would recognize anybody who doesn't ever accept their seat officially as not towards quorum since they never accepted the seat or took the oath of office. That's what we should be doing. Therefore, we're not violating democracy since they never accepted the seat. That's what I would say for all future reference. If the chair would recognize that point, of course.
Sure, but I'm maintaining under the current rules, which what we have. And so once again, I'll answer, is there a motion to either recall Max, to delay it?
I motion to recall.
Okay,
I
thank you.
second.
Is there a second? Are there any objections? All right, objection has been noted. With that
I'm going to
being-
object. I have a point of order for the chair. What rule that you're referring to? Is you're saying that's governing this function? Like, what's the current rules that says they're in office if they've never accepted nor taken the oath of office? What rule is that?
Okay, Brianna, I'm gonna move forward.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to make sure. So it was Brooke and Tandy who agreed or who motioned to move, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone. Everyone, please raise your hand on Zoom if you are in favor of recalling Max. If you are in favor of recalling Max, please raise your hand. If you are if you are in favor of recalling Max, please raise your hand. Please raise your hand. Either Vice President Margie or Brianna, if we can count the yes votes. Please raise your hand if you are in favor of removing or recalling Max. Alrighty, lower your hands.
So I got 12.
Okay, thank you. Everyone, please raise your hand if you are against recalling Max. Raise your hand if you are against the recall for Max. Raise your hand if you are a no vote for recalling Max. Alrighty, lower your hands. Raise your hands if you would like to abstain from this vote. So if you don't wish to vote either way, if you would like to abstain from this vote, please raise your hand if you would like to abstain from this vote. Alrighty. With that being said, from what I can see, the motion carries for recalling Max. Moving forward on the agenda to Grace. Is there a motion to recall Grace?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Point of
All right.
information to Vice President Margie, if that would be recognized. Was this the person who responded to your email?
Grace?
Yeah.
Yes, Grace is the person that responded to my email.
And they indicated they weren't interested, correct?
They indicated that they were not aware of this, that there was some misunderstanding, that they did not know that they were a part of this. And I asked two different emails, 2 different times. Please let me know if you are still interested in serving on the board or if you would not like to be. And I have not gotten a response.
I'm going to make a point of order then so we don't just kick people out of office because we're bored. How about a point of order? This person said that there was a misunderstanding. They're not in office. So I say we don't recognize them as being in office in the first place, if the chair would recognize that.
No. Moving
Why?
forward.
I challenge the ruling of the chair.
Okay, is there a second?
And to clarify, my motion is that we recognize this person was never in office because they said it was a misunderstanding that they're in there. And I don't think there's any rule that prevents that from treating it that way.
Okay, seeing as there's no seconds, I once again thank you for the motion. And then the second, are there any objections towards recalling Grace? Alrighty, objection has been noted. With that being said, period of voting. Everyone that is in favor of recalling Grace, raise your hand on Zoom to indicate to us if you are a yes vote. If you're in favor of recalling Grace, please raise your hand. Raise your hand if you are in favor.
Okay, got 12 people.
Okay, lower your hands. Everyone that is against recalling Grace, please raise your hand if you are against the recall for Grace.
Okay, I got 3 people.
Okay. Lower your hands. Everyone that would like to abstain from the vote for recalling Grace, please raise your hand if you would like to abstain from the vote for recalling Grace.
Okay, got 3 people.
Okay, thank you. That being said, the motion carries to recall Grace. Last but not least, Alejandro, our ex officio member for Dearborn. Is there a motion to recall this member?
Is it correct? Is point of order what I'm supposed to say? I have a question.
Okay.
Can we just have a summary of the email communication? Just once again, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, Vice President Margie.
Sure. For Alejandro specifically, or just in general?
For Alejandro, yes.
Okay. Well, 1 second, let me literally pull up the exact email. Yes, so I reached out and I said, like, I just want to check in. I've noticed you've missed a couple meetings. I just want to see how you're doing. I understand that circumstances change, schedules change. I just want to ask whether you're still interested in serving on the RSG board this year. You know, things happen. We're all grad students. I understand. Where I just want to hear what's going on, discuss your situation, see if there's anywhere RSG can help. Or if any of the absences qualify for excused absences, please let me know. Like I'm more than willing to work with you, see what's going on and see how we can keep you on the board and keep moving forward. No response. I reached out again and I asked, like, hey, are you interested in serving the board? Like, can you let me know what's going on? No response either.
All right, this is helpful. Thank you.
Sarah? Ready.
I'm sorry, I just forgot to lower my hand. Really sorry.
Oh, you're good. Rep Freedom.
Point of order. I don't think the president has actually read the rules. What specific rule governs recalls, Mr. President?
I'm going to move forward on the meeting. Alrighty, are there any other questions, comments, or concerns?
I'd like to make a comment about the person. Am I allowed to do that, Mr. President, or do you just silence people whenever you feel like it? Is that how this works?
Once again, I'm going to move forward.
I'm making a comment about the person in this race for Dearborn. I'd like to make a comment. Do I not have that right, Mr. President?
Make your comment, but we're not going to go back and forth, Tyler.
Okay, then let me speak, and I don't have to respond to you.
I'm not going to go back and forth with you.
I'm not speaking to you. I want to speak about the representative.
Okay, proceed.
Thank you. So this person, I believe, is the Dearborn ex officio representative. So I don't even believe they're elected by our constituents. And yet, as far as I know, nobody here is from Dearborn, or at least there's a couple people who actually went to Dearborn undergrad. Why are we the ones to decide whether this person can stay in office or not? Why is it up for us to decide? Just because we want to be more convenient, we want to have people who write more things in pieces of paper? Is that what really the barometer of our democracy is? I don't care if we have an attendance policy. We have a democracy policy. That's how we're here in office in the first place. And it's no wonder why single-digit turnout is basically at a low other than COVID, because we keep kicking out people literally who are elected. Why would you elect somebody if they're going to be kicked out in a matter of months? Why would you ever vote for somebody who you can't even trust will be there simply because maybe they're busy over the summer or maybe they're not? Regardless, it is not for us to decide whether that person gets to be in office. That's for the voters. And the fact that so many people are comfortable here as if this isn't a serious issue, as if we don't have tens of thousands of dollars that we're supposed to distribute to students under the policy of democracy that we're elected in these seats to uphold, and yet we're the ones deciding how democracy works itself. The relationship is backwards, and I think it's disgusting that we sit here and act as if this isn't a big deal at all, and the speaker or president or whatever you want to call him doesn't even know the rules, and yet we sit here as if I'm the one wasting time when I'm trying to protect our democracy. I yield.
All right, Tandy.
I think like there's like a moment to just maybe like pause and make a comment. I think there's like a difference between coming to like a meeting and having a grievance about a different organization and then coming to this organization and then speaking as if people don't know the rules, when I feel as though the rules have been stated time and time again. We can litigate or we can talk about ways that we can change the rules in the future, but I think the way that we speak to people matters. I think the way that we use our voice in this space matters. And I think when you want to do that in a respectful way and you want to be heard, that also matters. And so I would just really implore us when we're, commenting and making points of orders, that we do so in a respectful way, and we don't say that, our president doesn't know something because maybe we have a grievance that isn't necessarily the point of subject right now. As we are trying to get through the meeting and get to the order of business, we did have a student come in earlier that talked about wanting funding. And so if these are the things that we want to get done, these were people that were written in. I just think that it's important to think about like how we're saying what we're saying, and then maybe we can figure out ways to do what we want to do in the future. But it's very important to think about like how we're talking to people, and I just think it's important to respect people despite the things that you've experienced, because when you bring that into situations that are not necessarily the people who have done this to you, perhaps, I think it's like very unfair.
Thank you, Tandy. I agree.
I have a point of parliamentary inquiry then for the chair. What specific rule governs this recall? If you know the rules so well, what specific rule is it?
Once again, I'm going to move forward, right? Because this is the thing that I'm saying with everyone. I think students, right, would be very much concerned that we're not moving forward, Tyler. These recalls, there's a difference between someone who has indicated that they have something that's going on in the summer and they want to stay within the body. That's understandable, right? That you can work with that, but these are not students that are indicating that at all, right? Those are different pathways. When someone has indicated, oh, I have a lot that's going on in the summertime, X and Y and Z. We want to work with you. We want to figure out how to keep you in. You know what I mean? You don't want to remove anyone, but that was not all indicated in any form or fashion, So we're not all trying to illegally remove anyone. I'm a big proponent of working with people, right? Because things happen, but this is not that case at all. In these cases, Vice President Margie has reached out to them. Like I indicated to her, if they at all indicate to you that they have something going on during the summertime, we need to work with them. We will not recall them on the basis of that, but that is not the case, right? So that's what I want to reiterate to everyone as we move forward. So is there a motion to recall Alejandro from Dearborn?
I motion.
Thank you, Tony.
I'll
Is there a
second that motion.
Thank you. Are there any objections? Any objections? All right, objection has been noted. With that being said, period of voting. Everyone that is in favor of recalling Alejandro from Dearborn, please raise your hand on Zoom. If you're in favor of recalling this member from Dearborn, please raise your hand. If you're in favor of recalling them. All righty.
Okay, I got 10 people.
Thank you. If you're against this motion, please raise your hand. If you are against recalling them, please raise your hand.
Okay, I got one person.
If you would like to abstain from this vote, please raise your hand.
Okay, I got 3 people.
Great, everyone. Thank you, everyone. With that being said, the motion carries. We're now moving into exec reports, starting with my report. I appreciate you all, especially this summer has been incredibly interesting in so many different forms or fashion, but I'm incredibly proud about what has been happening within RSG. I'm excited for our leadership, but I'm also really excited for the 17th president. I'm really stoked. I think it's going to be an amazing year for not only the university, but our leadership as well. Vice President Margie and I, we have been literally leading the charge for Fall Welcome. I'm really excited, Katrine, that you're going to be on the stage for Fall Welcome. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I will not be there, but I will be helping with boba and ice cream. We will deliver on that. We really promoted wanting to do that as an engaging event for students. So historically in the past for Fall Welcome, it's usually been either Jerusalem Garden or ice cream. Right now we have quickly boba and then Washtenaw Dairy. So ice cream and boba, which should hopefully be really cool as a really good fall welcome. But so it's the fall welcome between our organizations, between RSG, Score, Relate, and Grand. We'll also have a photo booth and hopefully a DJ. But at the bare minimum, RSG will cash in on our ice cream. But yes, please as well let me know as we've been having conversations with different admin, especially as the Hatley Rec Center opens up. I've been really in conversation with the director. Him and I with just advocacy within MREC facilities. They're really trying to get up a advisory committee just on in recreational and what's going on with that. So please let me know if you're interested or want to serve on that. I reached out to him this morning and sent me a wonderful, lovely email. Great guy, just about involvement that can happen within grad students and making sure that we feel included as well within our recreational facilities. Provost McCulley sent an amazing email out earlier talking about religious accommodations. Please really look at that. This is a lot of advocacy that a lot of students and that we have done just within accommodations that can happen within the classroom. I appreciate Provost McCulley. She's listened a lot of the times and tried to figure out some things are it's hard to cultivate and to create policy because sometimes the issue that you run into is when you put it specifically on paper, it doesn't allow for a little bit of when you do need flexibility to be implemented, right? So when you think about a bereavement policy or when someone needs to take a leave, it's just a interesting duality that you kind of have to be able to create of making sure there's a hardline policy, but that you create flexibility if there needs to happen. I have been hard at work on this newsletter that will go out next week. This is going to go out to all Rackham students to really talk about what introducing coming back to the school year, but as well as the fall welcome that's going to be happening. But it's really just going to re-highlight of Rackham's fall welcome and giving initiative towards giving back into if you want to join in RSG, X to Y and Z. Vice President Margie and I have literally been around the clock within Ann Arbor and Rackham. We spent one day, it felt like it was like 8 to 5, like literally meeting with admin and advocating for students, especially on micro grants, just figuring out how we can continue to do this. But we listed out our meetings. I'm really excited, especially about our meeting with federal relations. I'm really excited to formally connect with President Domenico Grasso, and his leadership has been tremendous for this university. But as well as if you know anyone that's really interested in joining RSG, let Vice President Margie or I know, fill out the form interest. We've been moving and grooving, as you can see on the social media, like no other. We've been reaching students. So wonderful. That is it for me. I will open up the floor, questions, comments, concerns. Representative Frito.
Yeah, I'm just wondering. So, are we? I guess for the appointments, are you looking to kick more people out of office and appoint people to fill those seats? I'm just curious what the plan is for this administration.
No, just looking to appoint students who want to be involved. All right. That being said, moving forward on the agenda. Yes, I see another question.
Not a question, a comment, because you said about like, I just want to put it out there that the president has always said in all meetings that any of us who know anybody that wants to be a part of RSG can do so. It's not just that he's filling the committee up with all that he sees fit. So if anybody, like any of us, know somebody that's interested, we can put him forth as a candidate, and I would consider his or her application.
Yeah, no, 1000%. Like, let me know, whether it's someone who's interested in the board or someone who wants to even be interested within meeting with admin. Like, Vice President Margie can tell you, like, I'm trying to bring Nando, who's a PhD student, with their meeting with Provost McCulley, right? Because I'm really great and interested in how can I make sure that admin is interacting with other, students, masters, PhD students, and are able to interact with, people and get a different experience. So, Representative Frito?
I'm just wondering, Mr. President, if we are not a democracy anymore, which I don't really see how we are, I'm wondering what the goals of this organization are under your leadership if it's not to democratically represent the wishes of Rackham students.
My goal has always been to represent the interests of students, right? I would love to sit down with you and anyone to talk with a Rackham student, right? That's the same thing that I'm doing with Nando, who is a PhD student, right? That wants to convey he's been at this university for over 10 years, right? Getting a bachelor's degree and now a master's degree. And that's what I've always done, which is try to meet people and students where they're at. And I think my record speaks for itself when you speak to people about, me uplifting them. So that being said, moving forward, Vice President Margie, the floor is yours for your report.
Thank you. I'm not going to read through my entire report since it is attached to the agenda and all of you can read the wonderful details. But I definitely did want to highlight a few things because we have been busy this month. First, fall welcome is coming up on August 28th. I know President Wood touched, kind of said something about it, but we have been working with the Rackham team and our fellow graduate student organizations like Grin and Score and Relate to get everything ready. RSG did release an Instagram poll about what students want to see at fall welcome at an event in general, whether it was boba or ice cream or both. And we got a lot of votes saying they want to see both. So we will be providing boba and ice cream in the tent. And I'm also be representing RSG on the stage during the fall welcome ceremony. So super excited about that. So please, please, please pull up. I would actually genuinely love to see RSG represented there and have some of you help us welcome all of our incoming graduate students. This is really our first big opportunity of the year to introduce ourselves to the incoming Rackham community. So I do want us to have a strong presence. I did have a little, I put a thing on the agenda for if you are available during that time, if you want to come help, if you want to come represent RSG under the tent, that would be great. Please put your name in so that we can kind of see who's going to be showing up, Another project I've been really excited about that I've been working on with Devin is our emergency funding and microgrant initiative. Devin and I met with CW Plus and our other campus partners who work directly with emergency funding. And we presented, actually, we had a whole PowerPoint about our proposed microgrant program to them. And we got some really good feedback about the resources that already exist on this campus and where students are kind of like still falling through the gaps and how RSG can structure this program to address those gaps, right? Rather than just like do another program that already exists, that's already available. So that's still an ongoing project, but I'm really excited about where that's going. And, we'll continue updating everybody as it develops. But other than that, internally, we've also just been getting everything ready for the fall. I've been working closely with our amazing secretary on the website and on everything. Happy to share that our constitution and our bylaws are now completely updated on our website to reflect our newly adopted amendments from our past resolutions. Shout out to Brianna for all her help on the website as well, updating everything on the website in terms of meetings and stuff. All of our fall board meeting dates have been finalized, rooms have been booked, and the RSG calendar is updated. So make sure you have access to the calendar. And if you're ever missing access to like the Drive, Slack, the calendar, anything, just please reach out to me and I'll definitely get you access. Have been continuously recruiting and onboarding new representatives as we work to, fill those remaining vacancies. And as always, if you do know somebody that would be a great addition to RSG, send them our way. We love passionate grad students that want to help the graduate community. Thank you to everybody who has filled out the committee preference form. I really appreciate it. I genuinely want to put everybody in committees in the committee of their dreams. So I'm just waiting on a few more people before I finalize everything. Literally I think 3 people. But once that's done, I'll send out committee assignments and your respective committee officers will reach out about next steps and everything going on with committees. But I'm really excited to finally get committees up and running. We are also getting hopefully our first RSG newsletter out soon, so keep an eye out for that. On the university relations side, President Woodruff and I have been meeting constantly with university leadership and different people. We met with Martina. We have a very packed schedule next week. All of them are written on the report, but we do have a very packed schedule next week and several meetings that we're currently working on scheduling. They're all listed in the report, so I won't make you listen to me name every single person. But I do want to emphasize while we're doing all these meetings, it's really important that RSG just has that seat in at these tables, and that graduate students have people in the rooms who can just directly raise their concerns and their questions and priorities. I'm really excited that we've just continued to build those relationships throughout the summer. Speaking of that, I do want to give a huge shout out to President Woodruff. Devin and I have spent this summer hustling. We really have. There's been so many meetings, emails, set planning stuff, ideas, conversations that are always happening behind the scenes. And a lot of that work doesn't necessarily make it into our board meetings and our reports, but we've been working really hard all summer to build those relationships and put things into place so that we can hit the ground running once everybody's back on campus. So Devin, thank you for all the work that you've been doing. Thank you for being a great partner throughout all of this. I really appreciate you. But I'm so excited to see everything that we've been working on this summer kind of come together in the fall. And of course, shout out to all of you for showing up today. Shout out to all of you for all the meetings during the summer and, responding to my forums and my emails and, continuing to contribute to RSG. But I am excited to see us kind of just become more active once the semester starts. And I'm so looking forward to seeing you all in person rather than on a Zoom screen. But as always, I am a resource. I am a support system. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything that you need me for, please reach out. I'm always happy to help. And I'm going to say it one more time before I give it back to Devin. August 28th, fall welcome. Please pull up. But other than that, thank you.
Awesome. Appreciate your questions, comments, concerns. Vice President Margie, Representative Frida.
I wanted to ask about what meetings you guys have done this summer, unless I missed it already. I apologize.
Vice President Margie listed a wonderful list of those within her report.
I also, I listed on every report who we met with and what we've done the weeks leading up to every meeting. So every report, you can go look back at every meeting so far. I've listed what we've done and who we've met with for you to look at.
Thank you, Vice President Margie. We've been doing awesome and amazing, especially this summer. I'm really excited. And like I've been telling everybody, I know for a fact the 17th president will be at RSG. But I think that's just a testament to, relationships and, things that we've been doing within RSG to matriculate into Central Student Admin. And I think as we were able to see with micro grants, we sat down with the CW, plus team, and it was a very good conversation. But I think a lot of people were very thoughtful and really thankful for, as students and as student leaders, we sat down and took the time and had conversations. And even that day, we had a conversation with you, Spencer, too. So we got to see you in person and talk with you a little bit. So,
We even actually, speaking of, even today, we got confirmation that Dean Laura Blake Jones and Vice President Martina Harmon will be coming to our meeting. They confirmed it today, so we have a meeting date that's confirmed and finalized. They will be showing up to an RSG meeting as well.
yeah, Steve. So both of them, Dean Solomon, and I'm hopeful for a couple more just to kind of interact, to kind of get more admin to kind of be able to get that experience within us to, have conversations with us as well. Tyler?
Yeah, I guess I'm at a little bit of a loss here. So what are the goals in regards to the rules themselves? Like, are there any specific amendments that you've been reading that you think we should enforce, or like because you said you updated the bylaws. I'm just curious where we are with that and what's the next steps.
This is a question for me?
We're under your reports, are we not?
Yes, we are. I
Oh,
was
yeah,
trying to
no
clarify
worries.
your question before. I amended the bylaws given my resolutions and what we passed as a board these past couple of meetings. If you see any direction that you would like the bylaws or the rules to go, you are more than welcome to write a resolution and present it. I currently don't have a specific goal in mind for how I want to see the rules, but you are more than welcome to write a resolution for how you see the bylaws or constitution should be. Not just you, anybody in the board.
Andy?
I guess this is a point of information. Could I make a motion to go to business because I do have to leave soon?
T. Yes. Um,
Point of information, the motion would be motion to suspend the rules and consider business next. Just so you're aware, that would be the proper motion.
Thank you. But all right, with that being said, Tiny, so the only thing within that I would say is we're not fully voting on the budget tonight, so just the student org. If you wanted to move that to the top, Tandy.
Okay, so I motion to suspend the rules and move everything upwards. Also, can I make a comment also?
Sure.
My comment would be, um, or maybe it's a point of information. What is like the rule or stance? Like I understand being helpful, but I think like what is the rule or stance in terms of like a representative speaking for a question that's for the president?
It's out of turn because at a point in time, like I'm not gonna lie, I didn't ask for the clarification, Tyler, but I understand it, and I very much understand the different levels of rules that persist and exist. But thank you, Tiny. So there's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Are there any objections? Alrighty. Seeing and hearing none, we would like to move all of business all the way up. Alrighty, with that being said, we are moving to our first item of business, which very quickly is the budget. So we're not fully voting on this tonight. I'm just kind of giving a little bit of an overview of this. I will fully present on this when we come back to our meeting in September. But there are different levels that are kind of happening within this budget. So within the left budget, you're able to see we reported on what we actually spent on each and every single program from RSG last semester. And on the right will be Vice President Margie's and I's recommendation. So we recommended to keep and maintain the microgrants program. A little bit of a less of so about $8,000. That's because I will predict that we'll be able to get more money to be put in that pot. So there's about $40,000 that was requested within the microgrants programs before. But within just being understanding of the money that we have. So in a little bit of a background, there's two or so budgets that kind of happen. So Rackham gives us about 20 or so $1,000. So they're going to give us about $26,000. Then there's the second budget, that's the general fee revenue, which is a little bit different. But
Gotcha.
this budget is just about the Rackham budget. We kept pretty much the same for the Rackham student leadership retreat. We increased it just a little bit to $400 just because we expect that hopefully we'll have a good amount of attendance. I changed a little bit. We changed a little bit of programming. We won't need to request much money for fall welcome. We're just going to need to request money for graduate and student professional week. We added a line item specifically to increase internal affairs and Spencer your capabilities within special programming, which gave a line item about $1,600 for the fall semester and about $1,600 for the winter, which is programming that we kind of want to implement. And for the first time ever, we added a line item for student orgs. So funding has always been given to student orgs from the general fund, but there inherently hasn't been a line item specifically from the Rackham budget. So from the Rackham budget, it's about two or so $1,000, and we've recommended as well maintaining the exec board comp. This was something that we have seen within the past years that has kind of happened as well. So within this system, like I said, Rackham allocates to us about 20 or so $1,000. We have to kind of maintain some of that process. So a lot of what we maintain is pretty much the same system. We kind of just added more of a hope in allocation for student orgs and programming, and still maintaining the micro grants program because we know it's incredibly important. But with that being said, this is not a full vote. It's merely just a conversation and or discussion and our thoughts. We'll vote on it at our next board meeting.
I have a point of personal privilege. If I don't know who owns the doc, but if they could just give everyone suggestion access, then people could make amendments on the doc. It would be more convenient and less annoying for everybody. So I would request, I don't know who owns this document, but if they could make it suggestion access for every Rackham member. Oh, perfect. Literally, as I said it, amazing, beautiful.
Got any other comments?
Hey, sorry, Devin, could you like elaborate on the 2000 for student org funding? Because I didn't follow that. 'Cause, like, yeah, thanks.
So within this, we're specifically answering Rackham. So within our funding, that we're giving $2,000 to the student org funding category. So normally we've always allocated funding for student orgs. So it's not been this budget that comes from our majority funding from student org. So our student fee budget, that is where we allocate the most from student org. So you're gonna see in September, that budget is gonna have, which may be like $13,000 or $14,000 that may be allocated totally for student orgs. But this is our specifically like Rackham budget. So normally what happened last year is we kind of reallocated money anyway to student orgs, but this kind of just puts more of a saying we want to start out the gate more with that. So the final number could be, it could be in the upwards of like 15,000. That could be the pot for both the fall and the winter semester. But we just wanted to provide as much money as we can for student orgs.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Representative Frito?
I guess this would be a question for the treasurer if they're still here, but I'm just wondering, why are we going back to the old compensation system and not maintaining what occurred last year? What's the rationale? It's on page 2, by the way, if people aren't looking. It's under the budget ask. It's the last line item.
Treasurer Becker?
Yes, so this obviously would be something that we have to vote on. It hasn't been instilled into place yet. This was just looking at a new compensation system. We had tried it out for the spring semester. Before that, we had, at least for the previous cycle, had a different compensation system. Essentially looking at our budget and at least what we had funds left over for, there was enough at least to return to the old executive compensation system. And then it's also, at least I see a way to better support the executive board committee and recognize the work that is put into organizing and executing on the mission and the goals of RSG. But of course, this is something that is going to be open to a vote for the whole government.
Thank you, Treasurer Baker. Frida.
I guess this would be a question for anybody who is in support of this, but I'm just wondering, based on my math here, it would be at least a quarter of our total budget, potentially a third, depending on the math here that I'm looking at, of our money is going to compensate ourselves. And I'm just wondering, is that the look we're trying to tell voters, if we are a democracy at all, that we should be compensating ourselves to the total of tens of thousands of dollars here, or at least $10,000? Just wondering.
Right. I mean, those are conversations we're going to continue to have. I think the thought process that many of the exec has had is that inherently this isn't directly student fee money. So the fees that we're collecting, this isn't that's not coming from that pot of money. So the tax that's being collected, this is specifically under Rackham Dean Solomon. Now, essentially, it's all one big thing, but we're just trying to find ways to continue to think about these things. It's nothing's in stone yet. You know, we'll figure it out and see moving forward if this is something the board wants. You know, if not, we'll figure out a different way forward. Any other questions, or are we ready to move to our funding request? Tyler.
This is more of a point of information. So, budgets are approved by simple majority vote. Is that correct, Mr. Chair?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. Let's kill it next meeting then.
Alrighty. Moving forward, are there any other questions, comments? All right, thank you, everyone. We will revisit this at our next board meeting. Alrighty, so moving forward to our last item of budget, we have our funding request. We had our amazing Christina who came in and spoke to us to provide more of a thought process for their event. Do we have any ideas, thought processes, comments, emotions in terms of what we want to recommend? Do we want to recommend any funding for them?
Oh, shit.
How much do we have left in the budget for this year? And when does it reset?
Treasurer Becker?
Yeah, so as of right now, we've got $674 left in our budget that's allocated towards student org funding. And I believe that, I don't, Devin, you'd have to help me with this, when the budget exactly resets. I believe it would be September. Is that right? When the fall term starts?
Yeah, you're
And
right.
then in September, do we go back to hosting meetings? Is it every other week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are there any thoughts for how much we should be awarding this org, not awarding $100, $200? I won't say that, but any award amount, Representative Farida?
Yeah. So wait. I guess the treasurer could help me with this one. I'm wondering. So this is a new one because I remember we had a lot of outstanding business that was reconsidered last meeting. So this is a new funding request. Is that correct?
No, this isn't. This is
gotcha.
a funding request that was that we had reviewed at the previous RSG board meeting, and we had Christina present at the beginning of our meeting today to get more information. So now we're reviewing it for a second time today.
Thank you. Brooke?
Yeah, just as a recap, we had one of the members come at the beginning of the meeting. They gave a fantastic presentation about what they do, how many grad students they help. Although a lot of that information was actually in their documents, we just clarified what they were actually going to use our money for. And they want to use the money to bring an invited speaker in. And they clarified the budget items on that. And I think we got everything we needed. So they're requesting 1,000. I see we have around six or like $700. I am not very. I could propose 300 maybe. That's half the budget. Our budget resets soon. Is there any other thoughts on a number?
Yeah, I have one
Okay.
thought,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess my question would be, what else do we anticipate spending this budget on before it resets? Because I mean, it just seems to me like there's like a very clear and direct like way that we could help grad students by giving this money away. And if there's nothing else that we anticipate coming up, we should fund it. And even if there might be, it's kind of like I feel like I'd want to like take the chance to like make sure that the money's going to help grad students.
Yeah, that's gonna be my question. Joseph, do you foresee either any more funding requests, or how's that been going so far?
Right, no, there haven't been any other funding requests at the moment, so this is the only outstanding request that we have at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And any other funding requests that we have, after today
Mm-hmm.
will be presented at our next board meeting, which will be the new term, I believe.
Yes, sir. What about?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm more in support of partial funding here, not using the entire money here, because as she mentioned, that their department also will cover whatever, like, they're not able to raise. So I feel like even though they said it's 1,200, I'm pretty sure that since this is a departmental event, which is primarily at chemical engineering, I'm pretty sure the department would be able to cover, like, the speaker travel, like, even if you're not able to provide fund funding. So yeah, I think I kind of agree with Brooke on partial and 300, or if any other amount comes up. But just wanted to point it out that she did mention that, the department would probably still help them out if they fall short.
Mm-hmm. Tyler?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, I don't think anybody's mentioned this. Also, if you have your chat closed, you probably are not seeing what I'm saying, which is fine because I talk a lot. But Festival, there's at least, multiple hundreds of student orgs that are grad students, in addition to other orgs that are primarily led by undergrads but don't omit graduate students. And I'm not saying don't fund this year. I'm just saying that we are going to get an influx of a lot of requests. And I think, unfortunately, what's happened in the past is we sort of sit here and then we sort of give our money away to the orgs now, and then we don't see the influx of God knows how many org requests are about to come in. So I think partial funding is prudent. That way we keep the relationship, we don't make them upset, but we also don't give all our money away to one org when we're about to have a ton of orgs coming in after Festival. I yield.
All right. Is there a
And then, sorry, one more question.
Okay.
I'm see in the budget like requests or the new budget for the year, that there's around $2,000 that would be for the whole academic year for all student orgs. Is that correct? Or is there another fund that we use for student orgs?
There'll be another one. So in the
Okay.
next budget, that total number could be in the upwards of maybe 15 to 20. So the budget's gonna be a lot different this year, especially with the increase in student tax. So we normally were collecting a tax that was about $1. So that's gonna go up from $1 to $5, which means it goes. This wasn't done under me, but it goes from $1 to $5, meaning that there is possibly more funding. There is more funding that will be available for us to use. But that's to say there could be upwards of like 15 to 20 total for student orgs for that academic year. So, yep, Tyler.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna, because I missed the first part of the meeting. Do we know who the keynote speaker is? I just want to make sure they're not like, some insane person. I'm sure they're fine, but I don't want to like do it without saying. So if somebody could tell me, that'd be great.
David?
The keynote speaker is Christina Marchetti, who is a professor of physics at UC Santa Barbara.
Doesn't sound like a fascist to me. Sounds like a good person. So thank you for letting me know.
Alrighty. Do we have a motion for a number? 300, 400, 500? 100? 50?
I'll make a motion for let's do 150, and then can we email them to reach out again later if there's any sort of change? Because I don't know when this event is, but it seems like it was a lot to put together, and if we're going to have that additional money, I wouldn't mind seeing them again. I know it's extra paperwork, but let's do our due diligence here. That would be my motion. 150 plus tell them to come back.
Okay. David, do you know when this event is again?
I think mid-September.
Okay. Brooke?
I do like the motion that was put forward, but I do think because there's going to be so much that's coming up in our schedule, approving the budget and everything, it would be best to just finish this now, which is why I kind of like the number of 300. It seems reasonable, but definitely not enough to cover their full request. However, I like the department funding. It will all cover it. But I'm open for comments on that.
Okay. Tyler, does your motion for 150 still stand?
I can either amend my motion to make it identical to what Brooke said, other than adding, I want them to come back even after 300, but I'll withdraw my motion, I think, because I do want them to reach back out after, because if they do need more funding. Plus, I know, like, guys, I get it. Our meetings are long, but dude, trust me, you don't want to hear about CSG's meetings. CSG's meetings are like 6 hours every week. So, like, guys, if we could just revisit this after with the additional context we have and knowing how much our budget's actually going to be, because it's going to jump up a lot, I think that it would be prudent to revisit this. So that would be my amended motion, or we can just recognize Brooke's motion. It's up to the chair.
Okay. Well, I will recognize Tyler, your motion. So you want to do 300, and then you want to ask them to come back, Tyler? Okay. Motion has been made for 300 and reach back out. Is there a second?
I will second that.
Okay. Are there any objections towards awarding them $300 and then reaching back out? Alrighty. Hearing and seeing none, motion carries. Alrighty, everyone. We have now reached the end of the agenda. Open discussion. Any RSG sitting member may be allowed to speak on anything of their choosing. Does anyone wish to speak during open discussion? Tyler?
If anyone wants to go before me, they're welcome to, but I see no other hands. So I will just say that, for one, flippantly violating democracy, whether or not we don't treat it that way, I don't think anybody here is actually like an ideological fascist secretly. I think it's literally as simple as people don't want to deal with long meetings and whatnot. But here's the thing. This is not just a joke. It's not just a club. A lot of people use that argument in CSG. I've heard it in RSG too, where we're just a club. You know, we're just hanging out as buddies, you know, giving away money. When in reality, we are the foremost expression of the democratic wishes of this student body. And a lot of these people, mind you, especially international students, they're not voting in U.S. elections. They're not allowed to vote in U.S. elections, but they're allowed to vote in ours. We are their foremost principle on U.S. soil of democracy. And it's not just, you know, oh, Tyler's saying a speech about some stuff that doesn't matter because it's just an existential threat. No, it is a direct threat to our operations as a student government. It is not shocking that we have very few requests, or at least much less than we used to have in the past. Rackham student government had a lot more requests in the past. I know this because I know people who were in Rackham as far back as 2013. And you can look at the data. You can look at the past history. If you think these things are unrelated, then I have news for you. Turnout peaked in 2018, and it again peaked in the fall in 2023. Ever since then, turnout has been on a decline, and it is not because people are disinterested or apathetic. It is not because they ever stopped needing money. It is because they stopped asking, because their voters stopped voting. They stopped voting for people to go in office because they don't trust us to keep their own people in office who are going to distribute those funds. If you think that doesn't have an effect on democracy, then I have data to show you. I have more elections to show you. And if that's not good enough, then we'll beat you in an election. Because at the end of the day, this is an expression of democracy. And for us to so flippantly go past it just to save time at a meeting is disgraceful. I don't think people here are truly evil or should be like kicked out of office or something like that. I just think that we don't care enough. And if the voters are apathetic to us, perhaps that's the justice we deserve, is an apathetic group of board members who don't care either. I yield.
Okay. Are there any other members wishing to speak during open discussion? Spencer, floor is yours, my guy.
Yeah, whether or not you put the Internal Affairs Committee as one of your top choices for your committee preferences, if you have any ideas, just shoot me a message on Slack, and I'm just going to add it to a list that the committee and I can work through. So we'd love to hear anyone's input on that. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Any other member wishing to speak? Alrighty. Everyone hearing and seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn at 8:38 p.m.?
Emotion.
Thank you, Tandi. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, David. Second. With that being said, we have officially adjourned the meeting at 8:38 p.m. Thank you, everyone. You're free to go. Have a good rest of your summer. We will follow up with another email for our next meeting. Bye, everyone.
I cooked.